Hello, everyone. Here we are on the longest day of the year. Still 24 hours, but light. It's still light out right now, and it's pretty cool. I am looking at my subject for the night. Here are my notes. That's what they usually look like every night before I do this. And what I want to talk about tonight is how do we decide what is the best strategy for a fingering and what factors measure in here. Well, basically there are three things that are going to make us decide what fingering to use. The first one is how much time have we got? Because that can open up all kinds of possibilities for what fingering. If you're hitting a note here, the thumb could do that. The thumb could be there. We have a lot of time. The thumb could do both of those. Of course, if that's all we had, we would probably use 1, 5, okay? But time, how much time do you have? That will be a big deciding factor. The second thing would be, where is the hand coming off the keys? Where do you have a dit? That kind of thing. Where is there a dit? Because once you have a dit, the hand's off the keys. Okay? The coming up. Okay. And what else did I write here? I wrote key fingers. Yeah, there are times that we want a specific finger. We would like to have a certain finger somewhere. That will help determine fingering. For example, let's say I had to play these 5 keys and I wanted to end up with a 2 here. I needed a 2 there for some reason. Maybe it's a loud key. Well, if I'm starting here on 1, if that was the case, if I do a bunch of things the way we're going to do it, that would be one way we could do that. Okay? Some reason I want to get to there, let's say. That kind of thing. So the fingering I would use could get me to the note. Now sometimes there are all kinds of situations, and there very often are more than one solution to a fingering problem. But I've seen bad solutions. I'm going to show you a few tonight. Some fingerings that I've worked on, changed and worked around, where I felt it was just a little bit more comfortable. But first let me show you some really elementary things. I wrote a piece called For Kids, and I'm talking about grade 1, first 3 months of piano lessons, where I wrote a piece that did this. Those are the notes. And I told everybody to start with, it was called Step and a Skip. Clever title. And it was supposed to be played dot-it on the first 4 notes. Then I kind of left the fingering out. So I had kids that did this. Well, I guess I'll get the 5 there now, huh? And then I'll bring the 4 down, and that's a typical way of thinking. That's the legato curse at work. Even though it's not legato oriented, it's still legato oriented in that they're not looking. Piano is always looking to what the next thing is. What's the next thing? Pretty much anything after a dit. Well, we can see here that our hand is up at the end of that, and kids come down and they just leave their hand here and do this. They still have fingers for a while, then they run out. But if we look at the fact that we have the same figures, we can easily just use the 1, 2, 2, 4 over and over again. And remember, pedal buys you time. Might be a long note, but when you have a long note, just put that in with what I said here about how much time do you have. A long note represents more time. Okay, so obviously that fingering is that's the fingering I used when I wrote the piece. But they're always looking for, do I have somebody there? Do I have somebody there? That doesn't matter. What's coming up? Sure, that's very doable. But then in the next one, you're going to have to do some kind of weirdness in here. It's a legato kind of thing. would have been better. But 1, 2, 2, 4 are just really more of the strong fingers. So I think that's a good example. Another one is a real simple one is from the Pirate, where I wrote 1, 2, 3, 4 twice, and then that put the 5 already on this A, which is going to be the next note after, and that's convenient. That's just convenient. But a lot of kids, now they're quite right in thinking that they can go up and they're coming off and land, then move the hand to the A. That is actually a decent fingering. However, again, why use 2, 3, 4, 5 when you can use 1, 2, 3, 4? Anytime you can use these three guys, it's always a little bit better, a little bit stronger. Okay? So, yeah. So the dits are something, and the long time. Now another thing is loud notes. Loud notes, the louder notes. This is why you have to know your rhythm really well. Loud notes form a kind of a focal point of where things are and the way you're going to play something. Like, for example, if we have this, well, the loud note's the first one. But what if we had, well, there you got the short note. So, and that will determine how you play things. Something there that would be possible would be where you use the thumb in a row. That's very possible because of where the dit is. When you have, yeah. We want to know where that loud note is. And if we have a dit before it, we can get a better finger there. Let's take a look at a spot where we use the time. Let me show you, offer you this. Look at the right hand. We have to play an E, an A, and a G sharp and a B. Well, certainly a good fingering for that is, that's going to be a great fingering. But then we're going to have, all right, so why is this a good fingering? Okay, play without pedal. That always will tell you exactly what you can get away with. Sorry. We want to get 2 here. Now the legato curse would leave very little option for this note. So what actually gives us, which one of these techniques is going to make that doable? The time one. You have all kinds of time. But Jeff, what about the long note? Well, we have to look at, again, our friend the pedal. The pedal can handle that really easily. He even says to use it right here, if you take a look. He even mentions use the pedal when you hit this guy. You're going to buy time. So remember, the pedal has nothing to do with the finger. It's just that it can buy you time. Remember what we said about rhythm. Rhythm is when you hit the notes on the beat, not how long you hold them. And when you have time, you got plenty of time here. 1 and 2. How do we have to count it? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you have the 3 after. You have the and after the 3. 1 and 2. Those you can do legato. That's fine. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, and with the pedal. That's exactly how he says to use the pedal. Okay, so there's an example. We bought time. We're always buying time. Now, sometimes you have to buy time just to get the hand plays. That's coming up in the piece. But the question is, without pedal, it's actually 1 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a. Can you see that? You can't see that, okay. With pedal. Boy, it sounds like I have big hands, right? Okay, now this is also a piece, Song of the Mermaid by William Gillock. It's in the, it's in a wonderful book, by the way. The book is called Lyric Preludes in Romantic Style by William Gillock. But whoever got a hold of this and put the fingering in really left a lot to be desired. Pieces are wonderful, though. Now, it could have been Gillock that wrote this fingering. I'm going to show you a left-hand fingering right now. Can I swing this down a little bit? Yeah, why not? Okay. He wrote this, 5, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. It works. It's not bad. But when I saw this, you're going over to these 4 notes. And you know what really fits that so well? 4, 3, 2, 1 does. Just the disposition of the notes there. Now this is one of those places where you are, see, that's a louder note. So getting that hand to rotate over, the wrist to come up with you to get there. And then you got the loud C sharp, which the 3 fits on perfectly. Before, he had a 4 on the B. Watch. And it just felt, that's nice. This wasn't so nice. But by using 4 here and 3 here, it just made it so much more playable. So that's an okay fingering going into what I call a really good fingering. Okay? And of course, that's what you're playing. And to me, it was just so much more comfortable with those fingers. With scale playing, it's largely based on where loud notes are. Scales change when you change the rhythm. Not the fingerings per se, but the way you deal with what I call the arrows and the syllables of the words. You've got to know where that's happening. So you can see this at work. Here was one that was really interesting the other day. Another small change of fingers. Right in here, a piece called Winter's Scene. And got down here, and you can see I wrote some fingers in here. I wrote 1, 2, 3. He had you doing this. And if you take a look, again, we can get a little closer. You can see what's going on here a little bit better. Yeah, okay. He had this. What was it? I think. Yeah, I've got to look. I've got to see a little closer because I forget what he had. I'm going to turn a light on. I hope this doesn't get crazy for a second. He had, 1, 3, that's what he had. Then 2, 1. He had you changing. He put a 3 here, then 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2. This was a good fingering, this one. That was okay. But he had this thing where he was walking down with a 1, 3, then coming back up to 2. That way. And I said by changing the fingering slightly here, it just put me on the 2. That was what I said before, one of the things. What finger would you like somewhere? Where do you want, where's there a really important finger? And I like the 2 on this A. And so did he, but he found a crazy way to get there. 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2. And all you had to do there was play 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And that put the 2. His was going. And too much fingering, just too much stuff. But that one depended on the note I wanted a 2 here. And it was funny because he had a 2 there. He just found a weird way to get there. Whenever you can keep the hand without having to do anything strange like what he had, the 3, 2, 1, 3. That's not ultra strange, but it was so easy to avoid. Anyway, so again, let's look at something else. Oh, by the way, hands. This is another one. I better throw it in. It was one that I wouldn't have thought of, except it just came into my head. A lot of times you have a free hand, and people are doing some crazy fingering, and they didn't have to do it. Kind of like if I had to go, but if I had a free hand, you would go, okay, depending on where the accents are. I might even do that one, or even that kind of thing, because the loud notes would tell me where to start each group, and the dits would tell me that too. But so many kids will do that, and they go, Jeff, I have a real problem here getting that finger in here. And I go, well, why don't you bring the left hand up and use that to help out? It happens in a lot of pieces, and sometimes the composer does not tell you about the option. Now, some pieces overdo fingers, as in dewdrops, although there is a slight reason for this. When he goes, move this back a little so it straightens that out. Now that's okay. I'll tell you why that's justified. I'll show you the other way you can do it. Okay? You can do it just as easily that way. You never have to cross the hand over. However, why is he semi-justified in doing that? Well, one of the things that happens in that piece is that by throwing the left hand up there, you're going to ensure pretty much that that's going to be a loud note. And we want that to be a loud note. So it's a very effective way to make it happen. By throwing that hand in, you get the loud note. So again, rhythm rules. And but then I see stuff where, I'll show you another good example from this book. This book is loaded with them. There's a piece called Hummingbird. No, not Hummingbird. Yeah, Hummingbird. Yeah, Hummingbird. Right here. Right here. Now, his fingering here, which I completely rewrote his fingering. He's got the right hand coming in here and the left hand going up here. Now, the left hand going over is fine, but he's not, see, this is one where the rhythm is not working here, let me show it to you closely. The rhythm is not working in tandem with the fingers. Sometimes it can't, but here it could. He's got one E and he's got the right hand coming in on the He suggested this, and it just flummoxes me why he did this. So let's take a look. I got to move this back down here again so you can see this. I'm going to say the count out loud. I'm going to say 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. Now this was his fingering. 1 E and a, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. The count, the hands are in weird places for that. So, my fingering lets you do this. 1 E and now the right hand comes in on 2 E and the left hand has plenty of time to go up to the 3. So watch mine. Okay? Again, based on loud notes, based on the count, I wanted to try to let the right hand play 2 E and That's so easy to do. And the left hand so easy to play 3. Now look at his again. 1 E and now right hand is coming in on an not a loud beat. Then 2 is loud. Then the left hand has to go over to play 2 weaker beats, and it's a very uncomfortable position to get up here. Again, my fingering. Anybody can make the accents there be right. So that's probably one of the best examples tonight of what made a good fingering there. Very often fingerings are obvious. And when they are, that's great. That's great. Okay? But a lot of times they are not. And again, we're looking for the das and the dits. I got to create a da 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 dit, da 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 dit, da 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 dit, dot, rather simply by changing the fingers to regroup the notes for the hands to make it easier to do all of the pronunciation correct. I just looked at the time. I like to do 20 minutes. I might want to talk about this a little bit more tomorrow night, because the choice of fingers is not what's there. It's not like, oh, I got a finger there, I'll use that. No, it's the groups you're playing. One last example. It's in Amazing Grace, where it goes, and then it goes da da dum, and every kid suckers for the fourth finger. But if I play it with no pedal and play these all just short notes where the pedal would be holding them, and I'm not going to let that happen right now, watch how much time I have to get to that next part, and it's going to be with two. See the move up to that two? Now, when I had the hand here, the 4 was on the A, but that's not the finger I'm going to use. I have all that time, then I have no time to do that. So the 2, you got plenty of time to get there. Here, I'll play it, you can see it. And you can see how much time I have there, okay? Anyway, I think I might continue on this. I might do it for a couple of nights. This is, people pick bad fingers. A lot of it's due to the legato curse. But they don't know, I don't think a lot of people know what are the elements we talked about tonight. Coming up off the piano, where do you have time? Where can you make time? Where can the pedal make time? When you don't have time, what decision do you make? It's still a bit on das and dits, but what decisions do you make on these fingers? Because remember, it's not the fingers doing it. It's really the arms and the wrists and everything. We talked about that for a couple of nights. What technique are we using, and what options do you have? Because some people pick really bad ones. All right, so tomorrow night we'll continue the conversation, and enjoy the rest of the longest day of the year. And always remember, when words fail, music speaks.